all of you that have been on the streams over the last year, you know I do this quite often in the middle of a stream. But I'm going to label this Thinking Out Loud episode number 1. And what am I thinking out loud today? Well, I've been thinking about it for the last few days. And again, don't crucify me or call this clickbait because it's not. It's, again, just me thinking out loud. And today I want to talk about the Z1. Okay, this before you run away, hear me out, okay? Because I'm just thinking, and I'd like to hear your opinions on what I'm thinking. Z1. I know this brings back memories for all those that saw Vahography and Frames TM, Vahagan over at Vahography talking about a Z1 in a video. And I think for him, it was pretty much tongue in cheek, really. He was just having a good time. But it begs the question, why wasn't the flagship for Nikon that we received last year, why wasn't it the Z1? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Why Z9? Why not Z1? The pinnacle of the Nikon empire. This is the camera that sets the tone for all Nikon cameras, the flagship. And Nikon has called it the flagship. Why not Z1? I mean, shouldn't it have been Z1? So then that leaves us with the question of what could the Z1 designation be for? I don't know. So I'm thinking out loud here, and I want you guys to weigh in on what I'm thinking about. Could Nikon have a 2 flagship lineup? Crazy, right? Sure it is. Sounds crazy. Nikon would never do that, right? No other brand has done that, right? Well, maybe don't be so quick to say nobody's done it and Nikon hasn't done it. So let's go back to the D series and DSLRs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll just jump to the D3, only because Vahography did a video talking about the D3X compared to, a little hint there, X, compared to Z9 or today's cameras. The D3, even though there was an S version, which was just an updated version of the base D3, the D3 also gave us a D3X. Now, you're not going to want to hear this. You're going to argue with me maybe, or maybe you agree. Was that not 2 flagship cameras? Yes, they were both D3, but adding the X was a completely different sensor. So in essence, we had 2 flagship bodies. Think about it. Has anybody else done this? Canon comes to mind right now. In their R series, Canon released the R8. Canon never said it was the flagship camera. I'll give them credit there. But we know the R1 is coming, and it's going to be a monster camera, no doubt in my mind. What are the similarities between the R8 and the R1? Both are going to be, or both are, or well, the R1 is definitely expected to be a vertical grip camera. And so is the R8, which maybe gave everybody the idea that it was the flagship camera. So could they share space in the flagship-like camera for Canon? Some Canon shooters will say yes. And some of the professional photographers out there shooting sports and to some extent even wildlife fell in love with the R8, and rightly so. But what will the R1 be? We expect it to be a monster camera, something along the lines of what the Z9 is, probably with more features and more tech because they've taken so much time to develop it and bring it to the market. Has Sony ever done that? Had 2 cameras in the flagship realm? We want to designate the A1 as the flagship, but I'll tell you, A9 shooters out there will tell you that the A9 is as much a flagship for Sony as the A1. And we won't get into all the discussion about whether it is or it isn't. I'm just trying to bring up similarities. Nikon's done it in the past. Canon seems to be doing it now. Sony seems to have done it. Could there be another vertical grip body in the Nikon lineup? And could that be a Z1? Again, it was tongue-in-cheek when Frames, TM, and Vahagan talked about it, but it's made me think. Has it ever happened? Could it happen again? Could Nikon be on the verge of surprising us with something somewhere down the road? A second flagship body. Crazy? Maybe. And I may be completely wrong, but again, I'm thinking out loud. What do you think? Could the Z1 be another flagship body down the road? Maybe it's a crazy thought, but if not, what is the Z1 going to be? Again, being number one, it just seems to me that should have been the designation for the Z9. So I don't know what will happen with that designation. And if we get another vertical grip body in the Z1, and it could share some of the limelight with the Z9 as a flagship, what would it be? Right now in the lineup, we have the Z9. We're expecting the Z8. The Z8 we talk about, we've speculated, and there's two camps really for the Z8. One very high megapixel, the other basically 45 megapixel, just being a offshoot of the Z9 in a smaller package. We don't even know if that's going to be the case, but let's set that aside for a minute. We have the Z7. We expect the Z7 III to come out maybe this year, maybe not till next year. We don't know. And we have the Z6, which we'll get a Z6 III body sometime in the near future as well. The Z6 III sits in its own niche. I don't think there's any problem there. Unless the Z1 is a 33 megapixel type camera. But hold that thought. The Z7 is in conflict with the Z8 and the Z9 because Z7 II is 45 megapixel. Could it be that I'm right and some of the other folks aren't right, and the Z8 will be 45 megapixel, basically taking the sensor out of the Z9, placing it into a smaller body. And the Z7 III could become the high megapixel camera, the grand studio landscape product photography camera, which wouldn't need all the bells and whistles coming out of the Z9. Or could it be reversed? Could the Z8 be the super high, big time studio camera, big time landscape camera, big time product photography camera, portrait camera? Could that be the case? And then what to do with the Z7 III? Maybe it becomes the even lower model or version of the Z9, not having quite as many bells and whistles. Would that make sense? Either way, where does that leave the Z1 if it were to become a vertical grip body in the likeness of a flagship camera? What would it be? And this is the part I struggle with. I don't know, but I'm still confused about the naming convention and why Z1 wasn't offered to the Z9 body. Have you thought about that? Let me know what you think. I'm going to throw one more thing at you here. There is the weird possibility, so let's just throw it on the table. Nikon does develop one of two things, and I'm really going to get some people upset and bent and everything else, being a very video-centric camera. Z1 would be the designation for their video-centric lineup. Or what so many people have asked for, even though nobody really agrees Nikon's going to do it, because then we're talking about additional lenses and everything else, the Z1 being a medium format body. Is that a possibility? So again, I'm thinking out loud, folks. I'm just curious to see what you guys think. This is not clickbait. This is just me and my crazy mind speculating about all these different things. So I hope you've followed me to the end, and I hope you'll give me some comments and let me know what you think. And who knows, we could pick up on this later in a live stream somewhere down the road. But right now, we're all hoping for the Z8 to be announced soon. And with the upcoming shows, we're in Imaging USA right now as I make this video. We have CP Plus coming up in Japan on the 26th of February. And we have WPPI, which really wouldn't be an announcement arena. However, it could be the glass box with what was announced at CP Plus. So a lot of hope out there for what we might see here in the real near future, especially around the Z8. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I really appreciate everybody that is over in the live streams. Hope to see you all in all of our live streams. And if you're not a member, a community, it's not a member. If you're not in our community and you would, if you'd come by and just check us out over at AP Studios on Wednesday afternoon at 12 p.m. and then again on Saturday night at 9 p.m. That's both times Eastern here in the U.S. Check us out. We're just a bunch of photographers that get in here, hammer out all these issues, speculate, talk about photography and whatever it is you bring up in the chat. Hope you'll join us. Thank you very much. And I'll see you again soon with maybe Thinking Out Loud number 2. Bye-bye.